Chair recognizes Jeffrey Morgan.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Morgan. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I drove down here today, several hours, a couple hundred miles. I thought this was a very important issue to talk about, but I'm not going to actually be saying the same thing that you've been hearing. I want to talk about the other side of it. What about perjury with protective orders? On October the 26th, 2018, family justice attorney Leslie Levy gave a continuing legal education class in Williamson County Court. Representative Tallarico, I think that's where you represent, right? And she was teaching attorneys, family law attorneys, how to use protective orders to gain an advantage in divorce. She was telling them that don't file them criminally. Here's the way you do it because this gives you a better tool for negotiation. And the family law attorneys were laughing and chuckling. And by the way, I have the video. I'd be very glad.
And Mr. Morgan, is your testimony related to obstacles to reporting domestic violence?
I think it is. Yes, absolutely. So because what you're saying is you want to reduce the obstacles. I want to make sure that we have accurate testimony. And I think if you reduce the obstacles to the place where anybody can submit anything and a protective order gets used as a weapon, such as Assistant District Attorney Leslie Levy advocated doing in a continuing legal education class, that is a problem. There needs to be some obstacles to make sure that what is being submitted is accurate. Have any of you ever had a
Mr. Morgan, the charge is examining obstacles to the reporting of domestic violence.
Right. I would say the accurate reporting, not fake reporting. Have you ever experienced a protective order being filed against you?
Mr. Morgan, I'm going to repeat one more time. If your testimony is not on this issue, then we're going to have to close testimony. So the interim charge is examining obstacles to the reporting of domestic violence and how these obstacles contribute to the difficulty in obtaining and enforcing a protective order. It sounds like your testimony is the opposite.
What I am saying is that,
yes,
because it said you could be neutral on the topic. It did not say for or against, and I am addressing the topic.
We need testimony about examining obstacles, I'm going to repeat one more time, to the reporting of domestic violence and how they contribute to the difficulty in obtaining and enforcing.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I will go along with everybody else and say I love the Zoom hearings. I wish that we would have Zoom hearings for testimony down here so I wouldn't have to drive down 200 miles. But I think that the Zoom hearings do contribute. And you know what else? What they contribute? They allow the public to see what's actually going on in their courts. And so I would completely support 100% the continuation of remote hearings. I would also like to see the remote hearings perhaps stay online a little bit longer so that we could actually see what's going on in them. I would love to see that if we talk about making protective orders easier, that we also make it easier to prosecute perjury, which does not happen. And I think we all know that. And having been on the receiving end of this, and I'm going to speak a few more moments and then I'll stop. Having been on the receiving end of this, in fact, I will give you my one-pager. It was going to be so easy to file a protective order because, of course, the courts would just grant it. Even though there were no basis, no allegations. I work for the federal government. I've held top secret clearances. I've gone to seminary, Bible college. I've been a missionary. I've worked with Iraqi refugees, other migrants that have come to the States. And I had a protective order filed against me. It cost me $20,000 to defend myself. And by the way, Representative Frank, it was in part because on one of them, because CPS did not tell my daughter what actually happened. I was out of state. I had a protective order filed against me. So I am not, I want legitimate protective orders filed. Legitimate. But as Leslie Levy said, you can use these orders to gain an advantage negotiating. You've talked about divorce and you've talked about CPS. And all I can tell you is that the way that we have it right now, when you make protective orders so easy that they're immediately believed and not challenged. And I, on the other hand, have to spend $20,000 to defend myself. And I was one of the lucky ones because I actually had a judge that listened to the testimony and wanted to write against me because, you know, let's just hand out another protective order. Hey, yeah, rah, rah. We're going to get another protective order going. And once she saw the evidence, she saw that it was completely fabricated. Was there any repercussions for perjury? No.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair Swanson.
Yes, thank you. I realize we're running into this, you know, what's germane, but I feel like what you're trying to get to and tie in my mind, does tie in, because if we're looking at how to do something, but there's a flaw to it, in my mind, that is very much germane. Tell me, or tell us how, okay, why do you think there would be more inaccuracy and it'd be harder to catch perjury online than in person?
So when you're online, you are in front of the public. I mean, I've been in cases, because I watch some cases, there have been up to 800 people or more watching. Now, if you know that there are 800 people watching you, are you more likely or less likely to commit perjury? Are you more likely to tell the truth, or are you less likely, knowing that out of these 800 people, maybe there's going to be a lot of people that says she lied or he lied?
Now,
So that's
I thought you were against online.
no, I'm completely for it.
Okay.
No, I love online hearings.
Okay, I thought you were the opposite. Okay.
No, absolutely. But like I said, all I would say is that, you know, we in everything that I've heard so far, except for one statement that you made, Chairman Neave, you talked about it's both men and women. And by the way, I called your office last year and about this whole issue, and they called me back, and I was appreciative of that. They actually called me back about this. But the question was, well, are we protecting poor people? But the underlying assumption seems to be that we need to protect every woman from every evil man, the Duluth model.
Mr. Morgan.
But we forgot
Mr.
the Amber Heard situation.
Mr. Morgan, I'm going to
Yes.
repeat to you one more time. Your testimony has to be on topic with respect to the difficulty of obtaining and enforcing a protective order.
There's no difficulty right now.
Yes, sir, there is. We just heard from multiple witnesses.
Listen to
there's
Leslie
nothing-
Levy.
If there's nothing else, we
Wait a minute.
appreciate it.
Let me
We
just
have
go
your
ahead.
testimony.
Can I play Leslie Levy's
No,
video for
sir,
you?
you can provide it to the clerk, and we will email it to the committee members.
I'll be very glad to do so.
Thank you.
I just think that what you're looking at right here, you are
We're
making it
looking at
easier for people to
Okay, I'm
lie.
going to cut you off.
Absolutely, go ahead.
This is,
And by the way, I appreciate it.
okay, Mr. Morgan, thank you. Thank you for your
Who is-
testimony. Is there any?
I have done protective orders, just so that y'all are like, who is this woman and what does she know? I have done them for our office. Who here has handled a divorce? Oh, basically everyone. Who here has handled a divorce and filed a protective order as part of it? Okay, still mostly everyone. Love that. Who here has handled a divorce with family violence and referred the protective order to my office? All right. I'm going to tell y'all why you shouldn't do that. Not only because it's more work for me, but as part of a protective order, as it seems like most of y'all have enough basis to know that a protective order carries criminal consequences. Accordingly, that makes it a pretty heavy tool in negotiating a divorce. If it goes through my office, it's a lot harder to use it in negotiating a settlement to your divorce. So I would encourage you very strongly, if you have one of those cases, to do the protective order as part of your case. It gives you more leverage in negotiating a settlement. If you're like, well, that's great, I don't know what a protective order looks like, shoot us a message, we'll send you forms. We are willing to help, you know, we're willing to kind of walk you through the process, but our attitude is if you can do holistic representation for your client, it's better for the client, it's better outcomes in terms of negotiating a settlement, and I'm not gonna lie, it is, you know, one fewer case for me. So win-win-win all around. Protective orders are pretty easy. So if part of why you refer them to us is you just don't want to deal with them, they're actually pretty easy. You have two kinds primarily, and I'm going to give you the quick overview and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty. The bulk of our protective orders are domestic violence, family violence, and those are under Chapter 85 of the Family Code. And to prove one of those up, you have to prove a relationship existed that meets the requirements. And then other than that, you just have to prove that family violence occurred and is likely to occur in the future. It's a pretty low burden of proof, pretty low standard. That's really all it is. For For the other kind of protective orders, you have stalking, sexual assault, and harassment. You have to prove that there's a reasonable likelihood to believe that it happened. Again, real easy to prove up. So if you have one of these cases, and on those, you don't have to prove likelihood of future harm. He can be sitting in jail for sexual assault for the next 10 years. And if you can prove up that it happened, and if he's in jail, you probably can, well, then you've got something that carries criminal consequences that you can use to get a protective order or use as a bargaining chip in your divorce.
Mr. Morgan, I'm going to
Yes.
repeat to you one more time. Your testimony has to be on topic with respect to the difficulty of obtaining and enforcing a protective order.
There's no difficulty right now.
Yes, sir, there is. We just heard from multiple witnesses.
Listen
If
to
there's
Leslie
nothing-
Levy.
if-
Protective orders are pretty easy. So if part of why you refer them to us is you just don't want to deal with them, they're actually pretty easy. They're actually pretty easy. They're actually pretty easy.